Welcome to the Northwest Bruin Football Show. I'm the head coach, Josh Robinson, and thank goodness the 2020 football season has begun. So this is our first show here to talk about the season, and it has been a very trying and unprecedented time for all across America, especially students everywhere. And then it comes down to the football players, and really, as far as we talk about football, the players are the most important part of it. They face some really big challenges that have never been taken on in the history of high school football would be a statement that I'm pretty confident in making. Definitely something that's not happened in my life in 17 years of coaching, and I'm so grateful for our players and their pursuit to achieve and do the things that needed to stay in shape and stay safe at the same time. Our coaching staff, you know, our players wore their mask on Friday before the game until we got to pregame warm-up, which is what's prescribed. Our coaches did a really good job of wearing their mask in the game, and it's not always comfortable, but, you know, whether you believe in masks or don't, that's irrelevant to this show, but we want to be respectful of others and safe. And on that same note, I definitely want to mention some people that helped make this possible for us. I think it goes without saying, our superintendent, Judy Gilreath, thank you so much for allowing this to go and be set forth so that we can move forward and give not just our young men, but as we saw with our crowd, our communities, an opportunity to go out and see sports. I've seen softball games with several large crowds, our volleyball games, the football game this past week, our community was ready for it, and you know, most of America is ready for that to happen, and we're so appreciative of her for allowing it to move forward. Other central office personnel, Carrie Williams, Mike Uten, Audrey Williams are definitely play a large role in county decisions based off of the role that they play in assistant with Judy Gilreath, and then our county athletic director, Chris Parker, gathering plans and doing things that's not easy to make it happen. Within our own school, I definitely want to mention our people who have been great and so supportive and guiding of me, and that's Brett Harper, our athletic director. His assistant is Richard Taylor. Feel very supported by those two men. And then, of course, our principal, Brett Adams, has just been outstanding the entire time from moment one, communication, you know, trying to make things happen and pursue it in a safe way. And I'm so appreciative of him and the relationship we have on and off of the field and the professional part of it. He has definitely been a great mentor to me, and I'm very appreciative of those guys. So now let's talk about the football game. Thank goodness. Again, I want this to be about the players. Not one individual season is ever at Northwest High School going to be about my assistant coaches or myself for sure. Although I have already mentioned, I'll say again, I'm proud of my coaches and the work that they've put in, their diligence to try and keep us safe. And you know, the reality is we're not going to be perfect. That things are going to happen, and there's going to be challenges to any given Friday. And I'm very, very proud of how they've handled things. But our players did an outstanding job. We got an opportunity to go compete. And although there's a million things that can be corrected, we came out with a win over Coahulla Creek 27-6 on Friday night. So it was a very good night for the Bruins. On offense, Owen Brooker was 12 for 22 for 203 yards and a touchdown. And Owen would tell you, if he were sitting next to me, he's a very competitive individual, that he didn't play great in the first half. He did some good things. He would not brag on himself about the second half, but I will. I thought he played outstanding, made one of the best step-ups in a pocket that I've ever seen a Northwest quarterback make, and he started looking like the player that we really expect him to be. You know, we have a saying for our players that are the most talented guys is much received, much expected, and Owen has a lot of expectations on him, and when he performs the way that he did in the second half, we're going to have a chance to win a lot of football games. We came in with a lot of running backs. Our running back situation is one that we're not incredibly healthy. Probably our top two guys are Chase Gentry and Adrian Reyes, and neither one of those guys, due to injury, were 100% coming in. Matter of fact, as of Monday, we really thought neither of those guys would play, but Adrian Reyes had 6 carries for 32 yards and a touchdown, really had some tough runs in there, and we're very proud of him. Ray Morrison, who's really came on, and we'll mention him with some receiving information, had 2 rushes for 24 yards. Has just the biggest thing about Ray is how much he's matured over the last year, and we just like any of our young men, he's got to continue to grow and continue on the upward swing. But we're really proud of where he's at. Matthew Redmond, of course, one of the only 4-year starters in my 17 years at Northwest, had 2 rushes for 19 yards, and just really was Matthew. Made a few mistakes, but I'm not sure any individual on the field on Friday for either team, including myself, didn't make some mistakes that we all need to work on. Damian Serrett had a carry for us, and we'll talk about him a little bit more on defense. Chase Gentry had 4 carries and a touchdown in there. Definitely going to look forward to him contributing to a Friday night and us being successful. As far as receiving goes, Matthew Redmond had 2 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. Again, if we're clicking a little better on offense, he's going to get more receptions, but on this particular night, that's what he ended up with, which is still a very productive evening for us. Chase Gentry had 2 catches for 60 yards, a really big catch on a seam route on the particular play I was talking about where Owen stepped up in the pocket. Again, he's going to contribute at running back and out of the backfield catching the ball, and he's eventually going to play some slot receiver too for us because we really like his speed and his effort coming off an injury. We're glad to have him back. Ray Morrison also had a catch for 18 yards. He actually had another catch for, I couldn't tell you exact yardage, but it had to be close to 50 on a touchdown that was called back due to a penalty. Braden Morrison was actually our leading receiver on the night with 3 catches for 17 yards, and Hayden Maynard had 2 catches for 13 yards as well. Overall, we were starting 6 guys that's on offense that's never started a varsity football game, and really 7 guys when you include another that didn't have significant time prior to Friday. So it was not a great evening, not a very polished product on offense, but our guys persevered and scored 21 points on offense and did some things and had some opportunities to put up more points, but it didn't get done, and so we've got to go back to the drawing board. We've got to work harder, and I believe we're in a pretty good situation to feel like 21 points is a little bit of a disappointment for us because our offense has practiced really well against our defense. Nonetheless, we're proud of those guys. First game, we didn't get to have spring practice. We didn't have summer 7-on-7s. We haven't scrimmaged anybody. A lot of these guys first live experience, and now they see on film and they'll learn. We have a lot of young men that want to succeed and do the things that they're being asked to do. So as long as we continue down that path, I think we have a chance to have a successful football year. At this time, let's take a look at the first half highlights. We started out the night on defense, but of course kickoff is first, and we really want to kick that ball over to the numbers. We get it back too much to the middle and kind of allow a bigger return here than what we like. Still not terrible. A good kick by Yahir. Some tackles right there. Here they're running the power, and Dayton Cowart forces a fumble that bounces right into Damian Serrett's hands. He needs to hang on the ball and not switch hands there, just cover it up with 2 and get in the end zone, but we're able to do it. Braden Morrison on the hold, Yahir Zapata with the kick, Jake Fawcett with the snap for the Bruins to go up to 7-0. Here, this is much more. It's still not perfect placement, but of course, anytime it goes in the end zone, that's definitely a good thing for us. A great play by Damon Banta here, getting a very short tackle for a loss, but that's good for us. Jordan McCamish is a wrestler and comes off the edge and is able to wrap him up like a wrestler would. Here we're getting pressure on the quarterback, Keaton McClegg with good coverage. And our guys are covering and playing fast. They elected to quick kick a couple of times in sure punt situations, and we have to make sure we play defense first. Punted away right there, and we ended up getting stopped, and we had a fake punt that was not successful. We've got to do a better job because what we were trying to do was open Jax Brooker on the stop. Here, the pressure applied by Damon Banta once again. Good coverage by Keaton McClegg to prevent them from getting many yards, and this was a big play for us on second down. We ended up getting a tackle for a loss to Damon Banta of about 5 yards there to put them in 3rd and long. I believe they snapped the ball before they were ready, ended up losing big yardage, and again, ball's going to get punted away here, and we were in a situation to where we have communication when there's a short punt like that to get away from it, and unfortunately it took a Coahulla Creek roll. Great job by Hayden Maynard here working on the inside with Owen Brooker throwing the ball. Here we're running the option play, and Owen does a good job of getting out. Maybe should have pitched the ball and got it out on the perimeter. Ended up dropping back to punting the ball away. Here we're getting good pressure. Got to be a little better in coverage, but that's Braxton Floyd not doing a terrible job. Just a sophomore getting some experience out there. Another tackle by Jordan McCamish. We end the first quarter with Northwest up 7-0. Coming back, good pressure by Damon Banta, forces a bad throw. Good effort by Matthew Redmond playing through the whistle to make sure we end up with that ball. Good stop by Damian Serrett. I believe Jax Brooker, Jake Fawcett, Keaton McQuaig were all involved. They're running the jet right here. Jordan McCamish needs to make that play, but Matthew Redmond comes up with a gigantic hit for us. We're really proud of the way our guys were very physical in this game. Good tackle here by Jaden Santiago, and I believe Keaton McQuaig, another snap that kind of sails high for Coahulla Creek. We end up making a smart play and not diving on him on fourth down. We come back on offense. Probably need to throw that ball a little quicker. Receiver needs to come back. Preston Neely makes a good catch right there. Unfortunately, we have to punt, but Matthew and I have a lot of signals. We have a lot of fake punts in our package, and there's sometimes he gets to make a decision, and I left that particular decision up to him, and he felt like he could get a first down, and he did. Again, you can trust guys that you have for 4 years. Well, I believe we fumbled on that next play, and they returned it for a touchdown. We pressure them and miss the extra point. Jax Brooker on the return. He promised me he would score a touchdown if he got the ball and kickoff return, so we're going to have to discuss the fact that he didn't follow through with what he told me. But good return. We ended up gaining some yards, starting to get a little more rhythm on offense, but never quite there. Good kick by Matthew to get those guys deep. Come back, and on the very first play, not great placement by our linebackers. Again, some fit issues, but Damian Serrett causes a fumble, and Junior Aguirre jumps on it to give us the ball deep on Coahulla Creek's 17-yard line. Here we are running the option. Ray needs to be a little deeper behind Owen, but still makes a good play to pick up 6 or 7 yards there, get us closer to the end zone. Coming back, running the screen to Braden Morrison, does a good job. Just needs to go ahead and continue to get north and south. Does a great job of rolling out of pressure, but a little bit more north and south, and then he makes that move. And here's Chase Gentry on a short carry. We need to hang on to the football for sure, but we had scored prior to that. Jake Fawcett on the snap, Braden Morrison on the hold, Yahir Zapata on the extra point once again. Good kickoff by Yahir. We end up having them pinned deep, and right there I believe Jordan McCamish was in on the tackle amongst other Bruins. Great job by Damon Banta getting some pressure. Keaton McQuaig and I believe Jaden Santiago on the big tackle for a loss after they'd picked up one of their, I believe they only had 6 first downs and 105 total yards of offense on the night. We got to stay outside just right before the half. Good pressure by, I believe, Jaden, that it makes the quarterback evade to their sideline, and Harrison Kiker runs him out of bounds. So we go into halftime with Northwest leading 14-6. Welcome back to the Northwest Bruin Football Show. I'm the head coach, Josh Robinson, here to talk about the beginning of the 2020 football season again. This past week, we've already mentioned that we beat Coahulla Creek 27-6, in which our defense played really well, but at the same time, we made a million mistakes. But what's great is we really performed well. We gave up no defensive points on the night. The only points they had was a fumble 6 that they returned for a touchdown. our guys found a way to make things happen. A couple of mistakes by Coahulla Creek also aided in it, but for most part, our guys were where they needed to be. But there's just a million things that we can fix, and we'll start out talking about the defensive line. Dayton Cowart really playing his first game. He starts on the offensive line and did that last year. Was able to play defense, but we had some older guys there. We have 2 starting defensive ends that are out right now, and Dayton had to play a million plays for a kid in the first year. Starting both ways, he had to play a lot of plays in the football game and ended up with 4 tackles, 1 sack, a forced fumble, a quarterback pressure, and a tackle for a loss. So he's got to continue to work on the mental aspect and being able to go from offense to defense, which is not necessarily easy, but he played a large role and was very successful on Friday for his first time starting both ways. Another one's Harrison Kiker, who has been an offensive lineman for us and has contributed multiple years, a returning starter on the offensive line. Really hasn't played that much defense since he was at Northwest High School at all. So for him to come in and starting both ways on this particular night, played the majority of our plays and ended up with 4 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for a loss, really speaks volumes to him, his care for the football team. Junior Aguirre is a guy starting in his very first football game, really got very, very limited reps last year, and I have to say we thought he could be a contributor for sure, but really exceeded our expectations from the nose position, getting double teamed a lot. He's a very large body at around 290 pounds, gotten double teamed all night long, still ended up with 4 tackles and a fumble recovery. Dawson Wheeler, one of our guys who stepped in for an absent left tackle that we definitely missed, but at the same time, Dawson played great on offense and contributed on defense for us. Alex Starks came on, again, starting his first varsity football game at left guard for us, but also played a significant amount of plays, about 72% of the plays on defense, and ended up with 5 tackles and a quarterback pressure. We had some other seniors come on, Connor Hayes and Javelin Nicholson, do some very good things for us. Moving on to our linebackers, Jordan McCamish. Again, Jordan's a returning all-region player, all-area player, came in second in all-region defensive player of the year, had 16 tackles, a tackle for a loss, and a pressure. And honestly, when he knows this, he didn't kind of set the edge the way that Jordan McCamish is capable of. It was everybody's first game in the 2020 season, and he's only going to get better. So if that's his worst performance, we're in for a good year with the Northwest defense and Mr. McCamish. Jake Fawcett came on with 8 tackles and a tackle for a loss. Jake is a guy that's lost about 50 pounds and really has muscled up and has done the things that he needed to be successful. At the same time, he'll tell you that he is very conscious of his weight, and as moving forward in the season, there's some changes he's got to make about caloric intake to make sure he's able to go through a Friday night. He didn't eat properly on Friday, got a little dizzy, and some people thought he had hit his head, but that wasn't the case. He was having some just energy issues, and as the year goes, he's only going to get better. Jaden Santiago had 8 tackles of pressure and an interception at the end of the game to preserve the defensive shutout. As a junior, really playing in his first game. Again, and did an outstanding job for us. Jax Brooker coming on as a sophomore, contributed with 11 tackles and 2 tackles for a loss. Didn't start the game, but came in and immediately contribute, and is going to provide pressure to all our linebackers and competition. Competition is what sharpens the blade, and so those guys are all going to compete at practice and compete each Friday night for playing time, and Jack Staden did an outstanding job for a sophomore for sure. Damon Banta had an outstanding game. Again, made some mistakes, didn't really get his hands on the tight end sometimes like we want our guys to do, but first game, his first real start on the defensive side of the ball. He started a few games after injuries last year on offense. Played defense, so it wasn't his first night, but he came in and had just an outstanding game, probably the most productive game on our defense with 10 tackles, 3 pressures, and a sack, and we're really proud of him and what he did, but we're also going to ask him to contribute on the offensive line until we get back to full strength over there. Matthew Redmond, playing in the secondary, ended up with 6 tackles, a really big hit for us, doing a good job. Keaton McQuaig has been outstanding. Has really, as the season approached and as summer approached, really picked up his care for the football team and what he wanted to achieve, and graded out the highest of any of our secondary guys, and he's a junior starting in his second year. He ended up with 12 tackles. Damian Serrett hasn't played football in probably, I couldn't tell you the exact months, but it has to be around 16, 17 months. Got hurt, tore a labrum, had surgery last summer, came back and was able to contribute to our basketball team. Came out, we actually have him playing safety, which he's never played in his life. Has a lot of things to correct, but at the same time, had a lot of things that he did outstanding. He had 9 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 return for a touchdown on the first offense or defensive play of the game, and also forced a fumble. Dominic Smith, a sophomore starting in his first game, had 3 tackles and 2 pass breakups for us, playing the majority of the snaps, and we're just so incredibly of Dominique. He's a guy in middle school that really played close to the ball. We really liked his athleticism and moved him to the secondary and at running back, and he was definitely able to contribute and is going to be a really good player here. Very coachable, does the things that we ask of him. And then Yahir Zapata, one of our best soccer players, our kicker, came on and had a good defensive game and contribution for us. And then Jacob Dockery, another senior, came on after the first quarter and was able to contribute positively to us to make us successful. So overall, it was a solid night. We're starting 8 brand new guys over there on defense, so definitely a good starting point. I will say that I've already told the young men probably the really only disappointment that was big that happened Friday night were the penalties. There was, as you would kind of expect to a degree, there was a little bit of pushing after plays and stuff amongst inter-county rivals, and we got called for way too many penalties, and that falls back on me. So ultimately our young men will learn with their head to make decisions for the team, or they'll have to learn with their legs that they get punished when they make decisions for the individual. So we'll do the things that we need to correct and move forward, but overall it was a good night for the defense. At this time, let's take a look at the second half highlights. You can see the big crowd there. Again, you know, social distancing and masks are a big deal. They're kicking the ball deep. We really wanted to get our freshman Hudson Gray to return the ball, and they kept kicking it to the other side. But Dominic Smith, another sophomore that we feel good about, we've already talked about, on defense, comes in and gets a good return. We're running the screen here to Chase Gentry, and you can really see his speed, but unfortunately we just made too many mistakes and got us too far behind the chains. Ended up 4th and 5. Here we are punting, and Matthew does a great job. I don't have his stats right in front of me, but I believe he averaged 36 yards on the night punting, and here we are with a recovered fumble on the Coahulla Creek 23-yard line, throwing the screen. Great move by Ray. Nice hand slap there, gets all the way down inside the 5-yard line to go first and goal here, and here we have Adrian Reyes getting some tough yardage. Offensive line started playing much better here. I was on them pretty heavily. First-year starters or not, we've got to play well, and those guys started picking it up. There again, Jake Fawcett on the snap, Braden Morrison on the hold, Yahir Zapata on the kick. And here we are kicking off, and Yahir kicks it deep, and that's the placement we want. Of course, we'd love for it to go in the end zone, but with that, we are narrowed down where the field's at. They're now inside their 20. Very big hit by, I believe, Damian Serrett. May have been Jaden Santiago. There you can see Jax Brooker, Damon Banta, Jordan McCamish, Jake Fawcett all in on the tackle. Big hit here by Keaton McQuaig helping Jordan McCamish out. They go to the quick kick again. We have to get away from the ball. And again, unfortunately, it takes a 10, 12, 14-yard Coahulla Creek bounce. I believe we go out on downs there and end up coming back, but a big stop. There you can see Junior, our big nose, out on the perimeter along with our linebacking crew. Pressure here, and, you know, we've got to do a better job of staying with them and getting our body on them, but that's part of that early in the year experience. Good job by our outside guys here. I believe it was Damon Banta coming up on the tackle. Here, I believe this is Damon Banta with the pressure, almost gets the sack. Well, he does get the sack because it turns into intentional grounding. I really like Keaton running all the way to the end zone, making the officials make a decision. Big hit here by Dominic Smith. Good coverage by our entire secondary to make them throw it short on second really long when they definitely were looking for a few more yards. Here they get another, it's a short punt, but get a great bounce for Coahulla Creek. And we come back on offense. Just an outstanding job. I'm glad the official didn't catch that ball against his head. Great job by Matthew here, but you know, he's got to speed up a little bit at the end, but the young man's probably played 100 plays up to this point, almost every play in the game, and he runs away from everybody and goes in to make the score 27-6. Here they're throwing the swing route. Great job by Keaton. Well, maybe a little better outside leverage. We see Jacob Dockery get inside and also cause some pressure. We've got to do a better job with our inside linebackers when we blitz, picking up that back out of the backfield to run the draw. Maybe a little better angle there by Damon, but still a great job tackling him and getting him down and forcing a punt that really at this point up 3 scores, and it's getting late in the game. It's not sealed yet, but we definitely feel good about where we're at coming back, and that's Hudson Gray, the freshman, in motion. We're throwing the screen. Good job by Braden. Lower your shoulder pads a little bit there, and I believe he's got a few more yards, but again, a great catch by Braden, a great catch there, and a ball by Owen. Owen just played significantly better. Our receivers did a good job catching the ball. Still had some big drops. We got a catch. There's an outstanding throw and catch by Owen and Ray, but it got called back on a hold. Here's the step up in the pocket and a beautiful ball and a good catch and a good route by Chase Gentry going down the field. So very, very big play that gets us to their side of the field, gets us out of that end zone. Another catch by Braden Morrison here, getting some yards again. Lower his helmet, gets some tough yards. Does a good job. Great job by Owen evading the pressure, going to Ray. Ray outruns everybody and scores a touchdown, but unfortunately we can't find it on film, but he ends up catching the ball, and we have a penalty called back. Good run by Adrian Reyes for us. We ended up attempting a field goal and missing the field goal. The ball didn't get on the tee. Good coverage by Damian Serrett there. Good pressure by our linemen. Here we've subbed in a lot of our young guys. Jacob Dockery, a senior for us, kind of slowed down there. I think he might have had the interception, but recovers from his technical mistake and ends up playing the ball well. Here's our guys. We're starting to get, we need to get more pressure, but there's Dawson Wheeler, our sophomore, kind of making the quarterback scramble. We get a big hit, and you see Damon Banta doing some good stuff as a senior, trying to apply some pressure to the ball. Here, here's the pot that tips it, and Jaden Santiago kind of wraps up the night with a interception with a little over a minute left, and we come back on offense. So we preserve the shutout defensively, even though they scored on a fumble 6. Adair Reyes having a punishing run, and then we take a knee at the end for the final score, Northwest 27, Coahulla Creek 6. I encourage everyone to come out this coming Friday. It is our senior night. We wanted to have it early in the year, better weather, more fans. We want that support for our seniors that have put in, most of them, 4 years of hard work. We definitely want to recognize those guys. Once again, social distancing is really, really needed for our young men to have the opportunity to play football, and we really encourage everyone to wear a mask. My coaching staff's going to be wearing a mask as best we can in communication with our players and such. So please abide by all those rules. That helps football happen. Tennessee, I believe, is heading into their 4th week, and Georgia's heading into their 2nd. We want to play all of our weeks and give our young men the opportunities that they deserve to have. Until next week, I am Josh Robinson with Northwest Football.